I'm Brian Winnikins. We are at Commodity Classic, and thank you to our Commodity Classic sponsors, and they include Mycogen Seeds, Matt Carl, your representative serving Northwest Wisconsin, Annabis Silo of Durand, the Animal Wellness Center of Buffalo Valley, Wisconsin Soybean Marketing Board, Lacrosse Seeds, and the Wisconsin Corn Growers Association. I'm with Casey Kellerher. He is president of the Wisconsin Corn Growers Association, and talking with Casey today from Commodity Classic. And Casey, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Well, first, obviously, there were some issues that corn growers wanted to talk about, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, here comes the possible agreement on the RINs issue and possible capping of the RINs. That's been the big discussion, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. We've been told there's no deal, so at least we're still at the table. It was put to me as it's a 9-inning ball game. They got a runner on second in the first and didn't score, and we got 8 more innings to go.
I know that Secretary Perdue, he was here. He came out and said, you know, the president and the administration supports the RFS, but he didn't really say anything about RINs, which is part of the RFS. So is there the assumption that, okay, if we support the RFS, we support the way the RINs program works, just the way it is?
Exactly. Our national leaders have met with him the last 2 mornings at breakfast, and he claims he doesn't tie the two together, which they are together, and they're trying to educate him on that. There's a meeting in D.C. today, I believe, at 3 o'clock, and I can't remember the guy's name. He's a past national board member from Iowa. He's going to be at the White House at the table in the discussion. So you got an Iowa corn farmer there talking, so at least we'll get our message across to him.
Corn growers obviously were incredibly surprised by this announcement. Did any of the members from even folks from the National Association have any idea that something like this might even be coming down the line?
If they did, they didn't send anything out to the rest of us. So I doubt it. It kind of took everybody by surprise, and we had a couple quick called meetings. One Tuesday, we had the state president's national board meeting yesterday afternoon, and that's all we discussed. Normally we discuss a bunch of different topics. It was just that one.
Talking with Casey Kellerher. He is president of the Wisconsin Corn Growers Association. Casey, the RINs issue for corn growers and for Wisconsin corn growers especially, if there was a deal or is a deal and there is a cap at, let's say, 10 cents or something like that, how bad would that be for Wisconsin corn growers?
It would definitely drop the price of corn. I haven't heard an exact number, and I'm sure they're putting that together, and there's probably a number out there. The one thing I'm concerned is if our state growers get called and asked, I'm not sure how many of them know what RINs is, and we're putting together a quick bullet points and getting it out to our members so they know exactly what RINs means. In essence, it's kind of like a carbon credit. Especially on the East Coast, these ethanol or these blenders that don't get the 10%, they may get 3% ethanol blended, and you get in the Midwest and they're getting, some of them probably 20%. The people that are blending the 20% can sell that extra 10%, and the people on the East Coast, or if they're not blending enough, they can buy those, and it's kind of a free market, whatever the market determines, and they want to put a cap on it.
And so that's the big thing is the RINs. This is something for not only really the oil industry, the refining industry. If I don't make 10% ethanol, if I don't blend it, but you're blending 20%, then I can call up you and say, hey, can I buy your extra 10%? And then that way I'm in compliance with the RFS.
Exactly. That's exactly how it works.
And so for the average Wisconsin corn grower, they may not be selling their corn to an ethanol plant or anything related to that, but it's still going to affect them.
Yeah, it's still going to affect. I mean, it's not a corn grower issue, but it's a big corn grower issue. It's not in corn growing, but it's one of our products that it affects.
Talking with Casey Kellerher, he's president of the Wisconsin Corn Growers Association. Casey, now when I chatted with Tony Mellithan, the president of Wisconsin Soybean Growers, they were kind of concerned because there might be many corn growers like yourself who say, well, then I'm not going to grow as much corn and switch to soybeans, which then would affect them.
Yeah, I mean, you flood the market with soybeans, and it's going to bring that market down. I had heard rumor, and it's not been
Confirmed?
Confirmed. There you go. That also affected in this was the biodiesel and corn cellulose ethanol. So I don't know any details on that, but I mean if that gets affected, that's even bigger yet.
Talking with Casey Kellerher, he is president of the Wisconsin Corn Growers Association here at Commodity Classic. Obviously, Casey, the RINs issue was a very big issue, but there's also a lot of concern about trade. NAFTA, Mexico is one of our biggest purchasers of U.S. corn, and and even soybeans too. But we're starting to hear rumblings out of Mexico. They're starting to look at other sources, and this NAFTA renegotiation, has that been frustrating for the corn growers that we're not really seeing a lot of movement? And it seems like there's this game of chicken going on between the United States and Canada and Mexico?
Yeah, it almost feels like everybody knows that NAFTA works for agriculture, and the administration has said they know it works for agriculture, and we're afraid it's being used as a bargaining chip for everything else in NAFTA, and that's not how it should work. Mexico is our number one importer of corn, and we're set up. We got rail lines going into Mexico. We're already down a little bit on what is getting imported there. They're buying it from South America, and they don't have the infrastructure and ways and means of getting it out to where they need it in Mexico, because it's coming in on a ship, and they don't have any of that set up.
Well, at the same time, the rumblings we've been hearing is that for some of these processors, in Mexico, they understand that, but they're like, you know what, we got to start making plans now, and we're going to have to adjust our business model then. Instead of getting it once a day from U.S. via rail, okay, then we get it once a week via ship from South America. That has to be a concern for not only national corn growers, but even Wisconsin, because Mexico is one of our biggest customers for our state.
Yeah, Mexico is one of our biggest, and we're important to each other both ways. I've seen a map where I believe Wisconsin is like Mexico's fifth biggest state of what they get, different imports, and that's huge for our state. And like you say, if they start building the infrastructure to get it once a week or once a month versus once a day, once that's there, they can do whatever they want. They can get it once a day from us, or they can get half of it, once a week, once a month from South America.
We're with Casey Kellerher with the Wisconsin Corn Growers Association. He's the president of Wisconsin Corn Growers here at Commodity Classic. Finally, Casey, Farm Bill, they're starting to do some, getting ready to gear up for the new Farm Bill. Crop insurance has been a big topic in that. And when talking with Tony from Soybean Growers, he also mentioned this as well, that the crop insurance program is probably one of the best values for American taxpayers.
Yeah, I'd like to call it the National Food Security Act. I mean, it ensures safe, affordable food for our country. You go over to Europe, and you're going to spend 2 or 3 times as much money on your food to get what you have here. And this is homegrown here. It's not coming from somewhere else. The other thing with the crop insurance, it's risk management. There's several. It used to be when the markets were a little bit better that the banks were requiring crop insurance for new or young farmers. And now things are getting so tight that, it's affecting everybody. They want everybody to have it, and you lose it or the increase in price, and it's really going to affect the bottom line.
That's Casey Kellerher. Casey Kellerher, he is president of the Wisconsin Corn Growers Association. We are at Commodity Classic. I'm Brian Winnekens.